Welcome back to OVC Media Days. Bob Belvin at the world headquarters of the Ohio Valley Conference. Brentwood. Dewayne Alexander is on the plateau in Cookeville, head coach of the Tennessee Tech Golden Eagles. Coach, good to see you again, and you're at your headquarters as well.
Yes, good to see you. We're right here in Grand Central Station of Tennessee Tech football here in the East Stadium. Our football offices are located actually in the football stadium here on the east side. So we're here getting ready to get out on the field for the first time today, at least to run around, and practice without, do some things. So we're excited.
It has been, as I've talked to all the coaches, Dewayne, everybody's got a story through this pandemic. But there's a little element to what began about a week or so before the real onset of COVID, and that was the tornadoes and the Cookeville area, all the tragedy and sadness there, having to get through that. I said this same thing to Kim, and I talked to John Pelfrey about it as well. I think as a staff, as an athletic staff, you folks have been through so much there. And still have managed to persevere. And I know there's a lot of reasons for it, but I kind of want to give you this chance to kind of expound upon that a little bit.
Well, it certainly has. 2020 was, the spring was a very tough time here in Cookeville, Tennessee. And I tell you what it did, though. I tell you what the main thing it did, the things we had to persevere through, it made you realize really where football and basketball and all these sports are really at on the big picture of things. Sometimes as coaches, you're just into the season, the grind, and, you've got, and it really made you step back and go, wow, there's a lot more. You to sit there and feel sorry for yourself because we're going to have an extended spring break or may not get to play or practice spring football or that type of thing seems so small to, the 22 people that we lost, that lost their life here in the tornado this spring, many people that were displaced without their homes, and I tell you, getting all of our staffs, our entire athletic department, the president of our university, Dr. Oldham, Mark Wilson, the athletic department, all of our coaches, we just thought what we were doing and we went out and just got in the community. And I tell you, it was eye-opening for our players to see what all was taking place and what was happening. And so it was a very tough time, but there was a lot of growth that come out of that. I think it helped us probably more than anybody to prioritize, having football or baseball or basketball interrupted, and realize that you think, boy, it can't get any worse than this. And you're going, oh, yeah, it could be worse. It could certainly be worse than just not getting to practice football. And, the other thing we dealt with football-wise, Gerald House was a running back coach. We just hired Gerald in January. And then, Gerald had gone for a workout and a run. He's 28 years old, a picture of health, and, had a sudden heart attack and passed away in his apartment and had to deal with that and not getting a chance to really have our players here because they're all home and because of COVID. And, really it's trying to unpack all this stuff on Zoom or whatever is very hard. It is. So just, we had, along with having the season interrupted and all those type things, we had tornado and, just some tragic things that have happened. But again, through all of that, it's really made us appreciate. I talked earlier on the earlier session that I did just about in my opening statement about an attitude of gratitude. We're just, the fact that we're getting to practice football, if we got to put on a mask, if we've got to wear a gaiter, if we have to, we're going to do that. That's a pretty small thing to be asked to do, just to have a chance to actually be back out and to have our health and to have the opportunity to compete and play. Again, all these other events really, I think, made us prioritize just how fortunate we are to get to coach football, play football, and just to have the opportunity to do it. We're excited about it.
One of the things that I noticed, and of course, Twitter is real, right? All that stuff, that's all real, right? Okay. Well, one of the things that you and your staff have done is you've had a lot of visitors that have come through your football facility throughout this pandemic, to include Gerald's family, who
yes.
came and picked up his personal belongings, and you folks had an opportunity. That's kind of unique. I felt like during this point in time that you were still having people in the building. They were safely there, although the criteria met. I thought that spoke a lot about the kind of program that you're trying to build.
Well, it was important to me that, being an alum here of Tennessee Tech and having played football here in the in the mid 80s and have coached here in the late 90s. I coached here in the early 2000s. I coached here 2013 through 15 with Coach Brown. I have a connection to a whole lot of our alumni over the last 30 something years, and that's something that I wanted. I wanted our alumni to make sure that when they drove down I-40 and they saw the Cookville exit, that they felt like they could stop off and come by the building. And I think, once people have started seeing guys stop by and they see that they're, there and that we welcomed them and how excited we are, I think it's really led itself to more people, wanting to come by. Our alumni golf tournament, the last couple of years, we've had over 300 former players, come back and, at each one of those events. And I mean, that's like double, triple, of what we've been doing in the past. Coach Bruce Hatfield, our linebacker coach, is a Tech alum and has reached out to those guys. He actually, besides being our linebacker coach, he has the title of being our football alumni liaison. I felt it was important to have that. Burt Brown on our staff was a former quarterback here in the 90s. Chris Grimes played here in the early 2000s. He's our running backs coach, special teams coordinator. And I can go on and on, with coaches that we had. Doug Malone was an offensive coordinator here for a number of years with under Mike Hennigan, is back with us. So we have a ton of coaches, on our staff that are Tech alums that have played here, that the program means a lot to, and really over some different eras. So it's important to me that our alumni come back, that people come by that have a connection to the program, and they feel welcome.
When folks can get in the building and get to Tucker Field, one of the things they're going to see is an outstanding quarterback in Mr. Fisher. So I want you to break him down a little bit. He's had a pretty good, solid first two seasons in this league. He
has. He's been the OVC Freshman of the Year his first year. We were fortunate. Bailey was the first recruit that I signed here at Tennessee Tech as the head football coach. We actually, Bailey signed with us on the first year of the early signing day that you could do it, and enrolled in school in January. He was able to be an early enrollee. We got him in school in January of 2018. He was able to go through spring practice with us, ended up being our starter as a freshman, and again was freshman of the year. He had a phenomenal season last year. He broke all kind of records, last season. But, if you took Bailey and you physically, just tried to break him down, his heart's going to be about this big, and, and then his brain's about that big. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, he's heart and very smart. He's got a huge heart. He's a great competitor. And really, it's all those intangibles, those off the stuff that you can't really coach. I mean, stuff that it factor. Some people have it when they walk in a room and you can't put a finger on it, but they got it. He has confidence. He's a competitor. And again, he's an outstanding student. He represents our community well. I mean, you go on and on. I mean, every box you want checked, he checks. And so there's no doubt he's one of the leaders of our program. He's very well respected by his teammates, and he's respected because of his toughness, besides his work ethic and everything else. There's been some games where, man, he's taken some big hits or whatever. He jumps right back up, and continues to play. And like I was saying earlier about Bailey, those things that make him exciting on the field are the same things that make him, exciting, and make him so respected off the field. We're very fortunate to have him, and glad he's with a Golden Eagle, and we look forward to an exciting, even more exciting a season out of him this coming year.
Defensively, try to peruse the roster. There have been some changes there as well on that side of the football, but you appear to be gaining some depth there that you really needed when you came into the job.
Absolutely. There's no doubt that's probably been the biggest transition and the hardest thing. Offensively, my first year here, we were able to start Bailey as a freshman. We started several offensive linemen as a freshman. We had receivers play as freshmen. So we actually started, on the offensive side of the ball with all young guys and have built it from there. And it really paid off last year offensively. Defensively, we did not have that. And there's been a lot of transition there from defensive coordinators. This is prior to me getting here. We had guys that we had coached that had been under 4 different coordinators, 5 different position coaches, so just trying to get continuity there. Biggest improvement we made has been in the defensive front. I'm a former defensive lineman, offensive line coach. Played defensive line. I think if you're going to build your football program, you got to be good up front. That solves a lot of problems. Offensively, you can't run or throw the football if you don't have an effective offensive line. Defensively, your best pass defense is be able to get after the quarterback. When we doubled our sack total, we went from 13 sacks in 2018 to like 27 last year. We caused a lot more turnovers. And really games that we won last year, we created some short fields, for offense. I think of Eastern Illinois, Western Illinois, just a lot of games, that were big wins for us, that we were able to do that. So last year, and to your point that you made there, I mean, our first defensive unit that we put on the field played really solid defense. The second one, if you wholesale subbed out the first defense and put the second defense out there, all of them were freshmen. Every single one of them, and so games that we got in a situation where, the other team was running a whole lot of plays or whatever, there's a point where we're having to put all those freshmen in there, and that's where we gave up. Now they're talented, but they're freshmen. They made freshman mistakes. So we have built the depth there. We certainly have added to our defensive line roster. We have a really solid core defensive lineman coming back for this spring season, and Chris Tucker and then Jalen Gladney and Henry Caramoo. We had three of our freshman defensive linemen, garnered some different All-American type, and freshman of the year type things, in some of these other publications. Christian Cantrell, a true freshman, Kale Dava, these are guys as freshmen, really played a role. So we built our depth defensive line wise. We're excited about. We have Seth Carlisle is settled in playing linebacker. We're much more experienced there. We started freshmen at corner. Those guys have had another year, to come in. So we've developed our depth, and you're exactly right. I really believe you'll see the turnaround defensively this year that we experienced offensively last year, just because those guys got experience and we have more experience. And I'm really excited about it. It's been a building process trying to build our roster and build our depth. And I'm excited about where we're at. And we're adding a really good class with our 21 class we're working on right now. We had 13 early signees. They're going to have some more here. So I think, I really think our future is bright from a talent perspective, depth perspective here over the coming few years.
Going to play one of the contenders to open your season, Austin Peay, 21st of February. It's hard to believe we're saying that.
Yeah.
7-game conference schedule. It clearly is a round robin as outlined. How do you feel about playing in the spring? I mean, granted, we have no course of action but to play that and to play football, but to play 7 straight conference games, do have a bye in week 3 and then one built in the end for purposes of maybe needing to reschedule. What are your thoughts on that 7-game conference only schedule?
Well, it certainly is unique. I mean, it definitely is. You don't really have that an opportunity. A lot of times that very first game you play in the season is always a non-conference opponent, whether it be an FBS or just another FCS team. You have the opportunity to, like last year, we played Sanford. That game went a long way in us having the season that we had last year, to win that game, in the overtime fashion that we did and to gain the confidence from that game. I think it really went on. We started off 4-1, so that the ability to play that game, and have a win in a non-conference game, it really helps you. College football, you don't get scrimmages like you do in high school. When I was a high school coach, we would purposely schedule scrimmages, with teams that ran certain styles of offense or defense to help prepare a team for the season. All you do in the college is go against each other. You don't know whether you're really good or really bad. You can't really tell because you're just going against each other. You feel like you're better, but there's no really measuring stick there. So getting into the season and opening up, and gosh, we're opening up right out of the gate with Austin Peay, who was the conference champion last year, Jacksonville State, and they had a tremendous fall season, and had some tremendous victories. So we'll know real quick how good the Golden Eagles, the 2021 spring version of the Golden Eagles are and where we match up, because we're going to start with, in my opinion, 2 of the all you can base that off is what's happened in previous, last year. And certainly there's a lot of really good football players come back. I know Scotty Walden's an outstanding coach, bring a lot of energy and excitement to that program. And there's a lot of talent on that roster that's returning. Same way with Jacksonville State. They were very impressive in the fall season. So, we've got 40 days. It's 40 days from today. We will have played 2 college football games. That's hard to believe, So, our goal these 40 days, we're trying to win it a day at a time and have great, each day at a time, just have a great day and try to let's attack these first 40 days and let's see where that puts us. And then we line up and do the rest of it, so that's kind of how it's laid out. And hopefully this COVID situation, settles down to enough to where I hate to see it affect all these guys have put in so much work, and staffs have put in so much work, and if people have put in so much work and are jumping through so many hoops just to get to play, I hope we don't have a bunch of game cancellations and rescheduling, and that type of thing. I mean, that would be my hope. You can't control that, and you got to deal with it. But hopefully if we could weather this, these initial 3 weeks here and get things started, hopefully we'll see things progress in a way to where we'll be able to have a good, solid season. And my hope is that every football team will get to put their best football players out there every Sunday to compete. That's what everybody wants. I don't want to play somebody that's just had to scrap together 53 guys to play. That's not really, I wouldn't want our team to have to do that. And I certainly hate to see our opponent do that. I have too much respect for the coaches in this league and the players who play. Let's get our best guys out there that we've all recruited and developed to be able to play. I think that's the goal and the hope for all of us to want to do that. And I hope we get a chance to. Now, injuries and stuff you can't help, but, when you've got guys held out because they sit next to the wrong person in the cafeteria, that's stuff that you don't want to see happen, and hopefully, that we'll be able to weather that and not have a lot of that this season.
Coach, all the best to you. Good to see you again. As a Tech parent, I appreciate all that you do as well, so I have to pass that along. Thank you, and we will see you, like you said, inside of those 40 days.
I look forward to it, Bob. I really appreciate you and all you do to, to publicize our sport, and you're always class when we do these things, and I greatly appreciate you.
Let's go have some fun. See you soon.
Yes, sir. Let's do it.
All righty.